Howdy gamers, it's Leighton here from Leighton Night, the podcast that you're currently listening to in case you accidentally stumbled upon this, in which case I am sorry, but just wanted to let you know that there is a video version of this episode that is up on our Patreon for all tiers. So if you want to join us over there, depending on the tier, you can get all sorts of cool benefits. We do mini-sodes every week. We do some fun videos. You get access to our fan Discord, and overall, it's a really lovely time, and we would love to have you there. So, without any further ado, here is the audio version of this episode. So if you want to do the video version, you can go to patreon.com/Leighton Night, or not. It's really whatever floats your boat. Anyway, episode...
Heard my iPad go off and I forgot to press it.
Oh, actually, I have a thing about this. It happened right before this. During a recent episode, I guess I don't normally have the iPad in this room when we record, and it started going off. So I put it outside the door like a, a
like it was a dog
pet.
that needed,
yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But this time today, it beat.
Is it an outdoor iPad?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, primarily for outdoor use.
It's for the squirrel that lives in the tree that you guys feed.
Well, actually, did I talk about this on the show? My previous iPad, I was relaxing in a bubble bath and watching a movie, and I jostled, the iPad stand, and this iPad, which was, to be fair, pretty old, just took a nosedive into the tub, and it booted up for like an hour and then was never heard from again. So I got this new one. Yeah.
Worst of those is there was a generation of the like iPod Nano/Mini, the kinds that they don't even like fucking make anymore. That was like a little square that had a screen, and you could wear it like a watch, like a pre-Apple Watch. This was in 2012, 11.
I know what you're talking about. Yes.
I love that little guy, and it somehow fell out while I was flushing the toilet. And so it just went straight down. And it's in retrospect, it's one of the most like beautiful moments because it's just like, oh, I just speed ran the whole dabda. Like I just went straight to like, oh, okay. That happened. Okay.
Yep. And there's nothing you can do.
Oh, no, not even like, ew, I don't want to like touch it. It's just like that is now in the sewage system somewhere. So that's cool.
Amazing. Every time I put in or take out a contact, I have learned, especially when in a new place, look at the sink and make sure there's a stopper in it. Because I have definitely very, very poor eyesight. And these fuckers, I'm wearing contacts all the time. They're not cheap. And I had one where it fell down the drain but got caught on the side. Just like stuck right to the side, just down and just take it out.
Oh, and you're not putting that back in your eye.
No, it touches your eyeball.
But I cleaned it.
This is why I have to be glasses. I can't touch my peepers.
It took me forever to get used to doing it. And now, I've been wearing it for like 20 years now and it's no problem, but I still hate it.
Do you feel like there's been an improvement in contact technology in those 20 years that you've been wearing them? Like, do you notice a difference?
Honestly, I don't notice a big difference in mine, but I always, from the beginning, I've had a high and specialized prescription. So I've been at the edges of contact lens technology, probably. Because I'm like minus 15 in both. It's really bad. Yeah. No, I'm blind. Am I legally blind? I must be. I can't drive without these things in. With them in, it's 2020. It's like no big deal.
You just have like the ends of Coke bottles on your eyeballs.
I tried his glasses on once.
Oh,
yeah. So now, of course, you can get these lenses with the high index of refraction, right? Which make them much thinner than they otherwise would be. But the last time, this is a long fucking time ago. This is like 30 years ago, probably. The last time I tried to get lenses without any kind of, higher index, I couldn't fold them because the lenses were so thick. And the way the frames were designed, I couldn't put the earpieces. What do you call them? The things that go on the sides of your ear. I couldn't put them down.
Wow.
And it was not, and I was like, what the fuck is it? Like, and also, I think I was in high school at the time, and that's not the look you want.
No, I feel like that's definitely come around. I feel like now glasses are a little more trendy, but boy, howdy, they were not.
Well, and also there was the period for a while in like mid 2000s, 2010, where all glasses were like the really skinny black, like the Liz Lemon glasses.
Oh, yeah.
I rocked those for way too long. And then it's like once you get to a bigger size, it's like I cannot possibly go back to smaller than the size I'm wearing. I can see everything.
They're terrible. When you get those tiny lenses that are like this, it's like your field of vision is like, it feels like it's a little bar. It's crazy.
Yeah, they made me feel really smart.
I am old enough to have been alive and in school when being that kind of nerd was not cool. The Revenge of the Nerds era nerd. And that movie, by the way, is not problematic at all. And everyone loves it.
Super cool stuff happens in that movie.
Yeah,
and that's the
80s.
podcast stance.
Yeah, that's a late night with Brian Weck promise. Revenge of the Nerds, we like it. No reservations. Talk about movies that do not hold up. That is example number one.
Most 80s movies.
Yeah, who would have thought that an 80s sex comedy wouldn't have aged well? Right? I don't know anyone currently that wears hard contacts, right? Why would you in 2023?
Well, if you want to have hard contacts, you could always
do it. Say it. Say it.
Are we gonna? Is it like alcoholic? Is that the thing?
I was really going to try to sell it the way that you do, Brian, and I couldn't do it. It's if you want hard contacts, you just you put them in your eye and you rub.
Oh, there we go.
Brian does this fucking joke anytime anything is called hard ever in the show.
Good to know. Good.
Anyway, but
that's how you make. Hold on. That's how you make hard lemonade or hard cider. Is you take regular cider and you just rub it.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't do the motion. But also, I love the idea of hard contacts.
Hold on, wait just a second.
No, shut the fuck up, Brian. Shut the fuck up.
You can watch me do the motion on patreon.com/latennight.
Anyway, shut the fuck up, Brian. I think that hard contacts that you just absorb like a Truly or a White Claw through your eyes, it would be cool. It would kill you, but yeah. But I don't know. It'd be pretty cool. Instead of drinking like straight grain alcohol to go blind, you could just.
That's a great idea. Ocular suppositories.
Man, this show is terrible. Why does anybody listen to this show?
I'm not convinced that people do, by the way.
The stats don't lie, Brian. 5 whole people listen to this show.
No, that's true, yeah. There was an old movie and TV trope of I dropped my contact. Do you remember this? And then someone would be walking and you'd hear crunch. Do you guys ever remember seeing this?
I mean, I know of the Velma, my glasses, I can't see without my glasses kind of a thing.
Or people pretending that they're looking for a contact when they're snooping or something.
Oh yeah.
Yes. I can't remember exactly what this is from, but it was in a bunch of stuff. It would be like, nobody move. A contact fell out. And then someone would step and you'd hear crunch because everyone was wearing hard contacts at the time. They didn't have soft. And the idea is that, someone stepped on the contact lens. What a story. Anyway.
Actually, you know what? I want to go back to your iPod Nano falling down the toilet is kind of what we did culturally with iPods. I miss iPods very badly. Just having a separate thing that isn't your fucking phone that has all your music on it and you don't need to be connected to the internet. I, every couple of months, Google what's the 2023 version of an iPod? Does that exist? Can I have one that just does Spotify?
It's called a Zune, Leighton, I believe.
Zunes were tight, dude. I bought my mom one for Christmas when I was a kid, and then she never used it, and so I took it.
There was a period where I was legit using a PSP to load MP3 files and play audio that way, downloading YouTube videos to MP3s so I could listen to Daft Punk on my PSP.
That's awesome.
God, that's so cool.
It was also the Wild West of devices playing MP3s like that. Like the DS and the Switch these days don't do that stuff. But I feel it was the quasi period where it was maybe this device will be your all-in-one device. It'll be the PSP.
I remember you could get the little cartridge to put into your Nintendo DS that was a web browser that I wanted really bad when I was a child.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Talk to me about the PSP. I never owned a PSP, and I always thought they were so cool. Tell me about your favorite PSP games.
This was the era of ports. So for example, that one Star Wars game where like you're another apprentice of Darth Vader or something like that. Force Unleashed. That was like a fully like realized game on like the modern consoles, but then they just had to also make a PSP port of it that was like from the ground up entirely different, like probably entirely different engines so I can run on the PSP and stuff like that. And so you had a lot like those. It had one thumbstick, which was the bane of my existence because you couldn't control. And so I was very into Monster Hunter on the PSP, and you developed something called claw finger, where your thumb would move the thing and your index finger would wrap around to the front to hit the D-pad so you could move the camera at the same time.
Oh my God.
And it was also very, very, and thank you, Sony, for doing this, very easily hackable. And it's some of the earliest like computer sciencey stuff I remember doing was just to get games onto there. It was a good thing. It was very like open in that sense. And yeah, I could play MP3s and weird stuff like that.
Did you ever have to like physically crack it open, or just hackable in terms of the code?
I mean, like I think there might have been one or two I did like that, but it was also very hackable. It also had like a physical like disc cartridge on the back, and like also what a concept, a removable battery. Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a really shitty turn in laptops, specifically with Apple, where they just built the battery in and you couldn't take the fucker out. I remember swapping out batteries all the time. Like
Right to repair, baby.
Yes.
Let us have it.
Big
Planned obsolescence is so cool and good and fun.
And that's the podcast stance. I'm glad I'm here to like officiate that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to introduce the show right now. I know. Gasp worthy indeed. Everybody, this is Late Night with Brian Wecht. My name is Brian Wecht. Across from, thank you very much. Of course, well deserved. Across from me is Leighton Gray. Leighton.
That's me. Boo, go home. They're saying boo earns. Mr. Guest, would you care to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Tom Lum. I host a science and comedy podcast called Let's Learn Everything, where we learn about science stuff like carbon dating and the history of recorded sound. We answer weird science questions like which animal has the most bones, what's the middlest size in the universe, and then we also talk about miscellaneous topics like fan fiction, PowerPoint as an art form. I researched the whole topic on the triangle, the instrument, and I also make educational and silly TikToks. I help research and write science videos for Veritasium and Answer in Progress. Occasionally, one-offs on that. And yeah, I used to make video games. I write sometimes. I sometimes make music.
Yes.
Sometimes make music. All that stuff.
And the crowd goes
awesome.
Wild.
Yes.
That was that was also such a great.
Too many
a lot of times.
Sorry, what were you saying?
A lot of times when we ask people to introduce themselves, they just say what their name is and refuse to elaborate, which I completely respect because I do the exact same thing.
Yes. Well, it's also, strictly speaking, usually on a professional broadcast, which is not this, you introduce the guest. You don't make them do the work.
Force them to do the legwork.
That's right. Because of the way we operate here. Who was it? We had someone on the show who, before we even got to this point, I really wish I could remember who it was. They mentioned something about being on some shitty show where they had to introduce themselves.
I don't even remember.
Do you remember this? Do you remember this? So, no, but we, of course, I'm not going to change for that guy or girl or whoever it was. So we made them introduce themselves with apologies.
And it's also like, whenever I go on a podcast, the most uncomfortable part is when they read your accolades to introduce you. That makes me want to spontaneously combust out of sheer shame because I'm normal.
It is always interesting when you do get introduced by someone, who you don't really know. It's like, wait, this is who they think I am? Whoa, that's not who I think I am. What was the most interesting thing to you? That thing I don't remember doing? I always find those introductions fascinating. You can see firsthand someone else's version of yourself.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, of course it's reductive. Any introduction is reductive, but it's reductive in a very specific way. Back when I was a physicist, you go to colloquia and things like that. And for the fancy people, they will read an introduction. And there is truly no deeper pit to be in than sitting through a scientist who typically has no, say, crowd work or presentational skills, robotically reading a list of every prize they've ever won. You know, if it's some like old fancy person and then won the Dirac medal in 2013 for contributions to, it's like, oh my God, can we just like, let's just hear the talk. We know there's a fancy scientist. Let's hear the fancy scientist be fancy.
But then it's you and you're like, other people don't perceive me as a sentient garbage can? What?
That's right.
Excuse me?
My favorite ones were always British scientists, especially older people who, you know, on their papers, it's like, you know, D.W.J. Jones or whatever. And then their nickname is something like Bippy. And so, you know, it's like, and we're very happy to have Professor D.W.J. Jones. I've known Bippy since we were colleagues at Cambridge. It's like, what?
Leighton, I do love the idea of a podcast host being like, and here we have Tom Lum. You may know him from having not made breakfast the past 2 weeks, from sleeping at 4 a.m. every single night. Here he is. And it's like, woo!
Yeah, that's how I feel. Leighton Gray, who had to frantically clean up everything that's visible in the camera because she spent the entire Labor Day weekend playing Fallout 4 and doing nothing else.
For me, it was Armored Core.
Oh, how is it?
Nice.
Oh, let's get into it. Like, what's your take on Armored Core?
It's great. I think I did go into it thinking it was going to be more Elden Ringy, but it's just so ludicrous. It borders on camp the way like every single mission ends with like, that's the end of the mission. But wait, what's that? It's like, yeah, of course. I know. I know this is going to happen. But it's like the 6th one. So like it's like a science now. There's like 4 different weapons you're maintaining at the same time. Like it's amazing because like the interface looks like a fake UI for like a robot game, but every single meter does actually do something.
Oh my
if you
God.
pay attention. I've heard people complaining it's a bit too hard. I think it's actually one of the easier FromSoft games.
So the only From game I've ever played is Elden Ring, which I loved. I talked extensively about it on the show. I understand it's not for everybody, but that like keep trying until you do it. I love it. I have a pretty high tolerance for that. Maybe I'll give it a shot because I did like Elden Ring.
It seems very,
so much.
very up your alley.
Yeah.
It's also very forgiving in terms of like, if you lose to a boss, you can like change your loadout and then try it again immediately after.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It really encourages like trying weird stuff like that, which is very cool. Again, they've perfected it at this point. It's like, it's a science.
That's great. I'm at a video game transition right now. I'm not playing anything at the moment. I was debating Baldur's Gate.
I feel like you would have a lot of fun with Baldur's Gate. I've heard nothing but like glowing stuff. I'm not a D&D person. For some reason, it doesn't click for me. And the combat seems miserable, but I've heard that it's very characterful and fun in a way that a lot of games, you know, Starfield just came out. And as a reluctant Miss Bethany,
I heard that Starfield hates Mondays.
I'm logging off. I'm leaving. This is the last episode.
But Starfield does like lasagna a lot. Starfield does not like Odin.
I just got it. Never mind.
Yeah.
That was,
driving it home until...
really took me a second.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It was poorly delivered and timed.
Should it have that aftertaste? Is that normal?
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Welcome to Late Night.
Why does it taste like almonds? Like But yeah, I have not been like hotly anticipating Starfield, but have been interesting just based on the hundreds upon hundreds of hours I've put into Bethesda games in this fucking life. But I was talking to a friend of the pod, friend of me, Jory, this morning.
He's my friend too. You could mention me in that if you wanted.
Friend of you, friend of all. That he like played a good bit of Starfield. And, you know, I love Jory to death for many reasons, but one of the reasons is that like he's just so great to go roast mode. Like he has the most...
He calls it beast mode, to be fair.
Shut up. He has the most scathing criticisms of things that are bad.
Yes, love someone like that.
It's such a joy to talk to him about it. And he was like, I don't even know what to say. It was so bland that I just don't even have anything to... He said that it feels like the fake video game you would see in the background of a movie.
I'll be honest, like the only like great clip I've seen of it, which did convince me a lot, was a clip of someone opening like a hinged vault door and like 1,000 potatoes coming out. I was like, oh, okay, good. It's still a Bethesda game at its heart.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like I've been playing a shit ton of Fallout 4, but only because I have 115 mods in my load order. And it makes it so bearable. But base game is just like fucking trash.
I guess there's just no mods yet for Starfield.
Oh, no. Hundreds of mods are being uploaded.
Yeah, I heard there's
one.
To Nexus mods
right
it's called
now.
Starfield minus Starfield.
That's good. No, that's a good one.
And it's a bunch of hacky Cthulhu comics.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, wow. Brutal. Fucking brutal, Leighton. Very nice.
Sorry, Garfield Without Garfield is the one where they just edit him out. I like those. I hate the ones where it's just like, what if Garfield was like an eldritch abomination?
I like the idea of Garfield minus Garfield, Garfield without Garfield, whatever it was. And then it became too popular. Like, for a few, it's like a funny, cool idea, which I really like. Yeah. And then it became like kind of a meme, and then it lost all of its funness, as
there's
happens
one
with so many things.
It's called like literally something like Garfield minus Garfield cubed or something like that, like where it is Randall Monroe from XKCD had to like make Garfield funny.
I want to look at this.
Brian, I hate you so much. I hear it every single time now. I hear Garfield. Starfield.
My job is done.
My other favorite pronunciation like that is we started pronouncing Chainsaw Man like you would Saul Goodman, so it's Chainsaw.
Chainsaw, yes. That is a good move with any superhero, Spider-Man, Batman.
Yeah.
All of it. I think that's great. That was an old Daily Show joke. That's where I first heard that for the first. I think even Craig Kilborn Daily Show.
Oh, damn. So
I believe.
Old school.
Yeah, his name is Spider-Man. Irving Spider-Man.
Leighton, I apologize. You were going to report on Nexus mods.
Yes. I just want to say I admire the community's restraint that I'm on page 4 of most endorsed mods and I've not seen a single horny mod.
Oh.
So.
Okay. Well, that's subjective though. You know.
That's right.
Sometimes a clean UI, you know.
Somebody really gets off on like .any tweaks. Not a horny one in sight. What the hell, guys? Get on it. There's something about people who are horny who make mods because so much work goes into it. And I have 115 mods in my Fallout 4 load order. You best believe that I have some horny ones.
Give us some specifics here.
They're the fuck mods. Like the Atomic Lust is one of them. And I downloaded it just because it was like, yeah, why not?
What does that mod do?
I'm getting there.
Okay, the names are so good.
Yes.
And the amount of work that you have to go through, even with using the mod as intended, to create Pornhub sidebar ad quality mechanical bobbing is insane. And so it really makes me feel even more frightened of the people who put so much work into this, because it's like, you spent an hour trying to make this happen. This one looping animation that looks like shit. Mm-hmm. So now I can't remove it from my load order because it'll fuck up all my existing saves when you remove it.
It's now a load-bearing Pornhub side ad.
Yeah, it is. That's the main fuck one. I have like a Mick Hancock sexy one, but he was already sexy. Just this one makes him a little cuter.
I don't know the game. That's not Will Smith Hancock, right? That's a different...
Shut up.
I'm
He's
legitimately a asking you.
He's like a necrotic ghoul.
Okay, cool. See, that's all you needed to say. I didn't need the attitude on that one.
You're giving me lip. You're always giving me lip.
I have never. I can
never. Go. What do you guys want? This was great. I can just...
One of our great pleasures is forcing guests to listen to us as we bicker. So
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we haven't yelled at each other in a while.
I haven't done anything worthy of being yelled at.
We'll see. Time will tell.
Ever, indeed. Look, I think I'm the nicest guy I know.
I wouldn't disagree with that outside of the context of this show. Yeah. I do think that the things that you regularly do on this show and the violations you make against comedy are worthy of trial and execution.
Yeah. Well, when comedy files charges, I'll let you know.
Brian Wecht versus comedy.
Oh, that's the
Supreme
Court.
What?
I think I just found the title of my solo album.
I was just going to say, that's really
my
good.
My stand-up set. It's this is a slight change of pace. And then actually, I do want to talk, Tom, about you and what you do. But do you know Andrew Dice Clay? You know, the comedian?
Of course.
It's like
Get on the Patreon.
bibbidi bop. Hey,
Yeah.
the mouse
Yeah.
and I fuck. Hey.
Honestly, dude, flawless impression of Andrew Dice Clay. So he's very popular in the 80s, 90s, late 80s, somewhere in there. And he's got that, kind of broke thing that you did better than I just did. And at the height of his popularity, he puts out, I believe it's a double album called The Day the Laughter Died. And it's him just bombing.
What?
I mean, bombing for like an hour or two. It is nuts. I mean, a very popular, not middle of the road exactly, but like lowbrow kind of comic.
Yeah.
And he does this like avant-garde weird thing. I think it was Rick Rubin produced even. And yeah, it's this like weird avant-garde comedy thing. Is it good? I don't know. I haven't heard this in years.
But is it presented like, here's me bombing because I was bad, or people don't appreciate my
No. It is not
comedy.
presented as people don't appreciate me. I think, and I could be wrong, someone should fact check this. He got to that stage of comedy where like people would just laugh at everything he said, no matter what it was. And so he goes in and aggressively tries to alienate the audience by doing bad shit. And it's not presented like, hey, I'm a genius, It's like, watch me
It's like
fail.
a Nirvana fuck you kind of.
Yes.
Almost.
Yeah, that's a little like Neil Hamburgery.
Yes, it is a little Neil Hamburgery. Now, I haven't heard this in years. And even then, I don't think I ever made it through the whole thing. But that is what I would want my Versus Comedy album to be. Like, just...
So the podcast?
Yeah. There you go. Closer than you realize. It's so hard to do that thing where you're bad, but not entertainingly bad, but it feels kind of... It's like a very fine line to walk, right?
I would love to see you do a kind of like Tim Heidecker's latest special where it is like actively alienated in some of just like the funniest shit I've ever seen. But you have to be so dialed in to like his specific brand of playing a narcissistic asshole.
Yeah.
He fumbles with the mic stand for like 10 minutes at the opening of it. And like immediately, I feel like half of your audience is out.
Yes.
But God.
I was going to say there was one of the Dropout shows. I think it was Total Forgiveness with Grant O'Brien and Allie Beardsley. They do a thing where Allie writes Grant's stand-up comedy and he has to like do it straight up. And it's just so like, because you have to like know what's funny to know what's not funny. But like, he's like, so, with like avocado toast these days, well, I've been seeing other places they got like, it's like tomatoes. it's just there has to be like some like hope to it that there will be a joke, and then there has to be zero payoff to it, which is so it's something specific. Yeah,
I was debating, tell me what you think about this. I didn't do it because I didn't want to get beat up, but so when I was living in Boston as a postdoc, and I was in like the improv world there, but not the stand-up world. Boston has a big stand-up scene. I was always curious about trying to do a stand-up set that is, it's all the trappings of a quote-unquote normal stand-up set, but it's very technical details about string theory and particle physics. Like... Well, why is it always that this bosonic string tachyon condensation, right? You can't get the closed string tachyon to condense. It's always the open, that sort of like 80s Seinfeld comedy. And I had someone say, you could maybe do that in Cambridge. If you go to Boston, you will die, which is probably not strictly true, but I was always curious about that sort of thing. But that's actually a good segue.
Into our unfunny show.
Yeah.
Let's learn everything.
So you do an amazing podcast with a really great conceit. So can you please describe to people what the idea behind Let's Learn Everything is beyond the title? Like, and I want to talk about, all the fucking work that you guys put into this, because it really is a cool idea.
So I remember when we were all discussing it, the idea was we wanted to talk about science, but also just like a little dash of like other things that we also like to talk about. So it's like 2 parts science, 1 part miscellaneous. So it's 3 sections to the show and it rotates And each one of us is responsible for researching one section and then teaching the others, and they don't know about it. So we have a main science topic, we have a science question that we answer, and then we have a miscellaneous topic. So like literally one episode will be like the science of pregnancy tests. The question will be, what's the middlest size in the universe? And then the miscellaneous will be the history of fan fiction. It's all a part of a balanced breakfast of stuff.
Yeah.
But that aspect of like learning through it with someone else, I obviously big inspirations from podcasts like You're Wrong About, where sort of like the process of like explaining something to someone is helpful both for them and for you. Like the metaphors that people come up with when they're hearing it for the first time, or they're just learning about something. And also numerous times I will like have a topic researched and I'll be like, this is okay. But like something in the chemistry of it all, like with everyone else's reactions and jokes that I had not planned at all, it comes together to be like the best. So it's a thing.
I think you guys do very well something that is very hard to do, which is I have seen so many variations on...
Be hot and funny, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's tough.
Yes, indeed. I've seen so many variations on the, we're going to talk about science, but also we're going to have like a comedy person making jokes the whole time. And so many times it's like, no. Like I can feel the scientist feeling or wanting to say, calm down. I'm trying to explain something. Like, just, it's not that funny. Let me get through this without you like bothering me because I'm making a point here. I think you guys, you walk a fine and difficult line of being funny and actually getting, content, like good explanations and stuff across. That's very hard to do.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That is an interesting thing of like a host of the show who does all of the heavy lifting of like, sifting through hours of footage or writing a script, and then a comedy person who's just chiming in. Like that dynamic is really amusing to me. But also it's like, Brian, I feel like whenever we have a sciencey person on the show, I always refer to it mentally as Ben Kisseling, as Ben Kissel from last podcast on the left, who is just kind of in that role permanently, where I'm just like, hey guys, I don't know what we're talking about.
I think what helps with that is the fact that we all do the work. We all rotate through it.
Yeah.
Every episode, we each play the role of the teacher and the rowdy students at the same time. So we understand the process that goes into it, and can also then like make jokes about that, about like how, every old thing inevitably goes to ancient Egypt. And like, that's like a recurring bit now. It's like, it probably was them if we're talking about like the first X, Y, or Z. But yeah.
I would be remiss if I didn't say in general, I'm a Max Fun supporter and fan of so many shows on that network. Love so much of what that network does.
First of all, I will say they're amazing. Truly been so kind. Everyone there does so much cool stuff. And everyone else on the network is so sweet. But like we had done like a few episodes at that point, I think maybe like 20 or so. And another network had reached out to us that we weren't as familiar with. And we were like, yeah, that sounds cool. It would be cool to be in a network.
And you were doing this independently first, you're saying?
Don't ever do this. We were doing it so miserably independently. Do you know how independently we were doing it? I was hosting the XML file on S3 I was uploading and editing the XML file that has like the date, the episode number, the like metadata. I was like manually editing it because I was like, well, this way, then we just pay for the hosting fees and we don't have to like deal with like Simplecast or whatever.
Right.
When in fact, it's like, oh, they do a lot of stuff that is nice. And it's nice to not have to. Don't do that. I thought I was being cool and clever and a computer scientist. It was miserable. So we had been courted by some other network, and then we were like, that's cool. Like we don't know them super well, but like we are coming from TikTok world where like it's very difficult to switch platforms like that. But then we were like, you know what? Before we say yes to this, why don't we just like moonshot, like Just Ask Max Fun and some other networks that we like really, really adore very, 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 very nicely. And then they were like, it's interesting. Let's talk. And I was like,
that's great.
Cool. That's cool. When we were working it out, we were like, I know this is a long shot, but it would also be a good fit of the like silliness and
Vibe,
the science of it all. Yeah. Like I think we may or may not have like sent a cold email to NPR or something where it's like, we're not going to be up against like Invisibilia, sadly, but that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's been a good network fit. But I mean, one of the good things about podcasts I do love is that like, I think one of the reasons why the Apple Podcast app is so shitty is a barometer of the fact that they can't find a way to steal money from the podcast. Like they haven't found a way to cut the top like X% off of podcasts yet, which is why they spend so little time making the app functional at all.
Right.
And so I'm like, that's a good thing actually, because it's a sign that like this is still a platform that miraculously you can do shittily and still have people listen.
Yes.
So even sometimes make money off it through Patreon and through et cetera and through other stuff. So it is really, I do love it in that sense. Not just because like I do it, but like I've always been a huge podcast head since I was a kid.
Well, not since I was a kid because I'm too old, but like when podcasts first started, I was pretty much in from the get-go. Like, you know, there are several prominent podcasts, a few of which are on Max Fun, that I have heard every single episode of because I started early,
isn't it?
You know, yeah, which is crazy. And some of those are in year 14 or something now of being a thing. I'll use one, Max Fun, as an example. I've heard every Judge John Hodgman episode, literally ever. I started when that started, and I have never stopped. And that show is still great.
The podcast, The JV Club with Janet Varney, is a show about like talking about your teen years.
Yeah.
And I started listening to it when I was a teen. Like the first episodes came out when I was like literally in high school going into college. And I very recently, an episode that I got to be on her show will be out, which was just like,
wow,
just like very weird, emotional vertigo, very sweet. And of course, just like she's an amazing person as a person, but just like very like, whoa, weird.
It's so odd. Yeah.
That's awesome.
To do that thing where you're like, you're on the show you like. With our band, Ninja Sex Party, we played Conan a few years back. And it was like, what? No. This cannot be a thing.
Yeah, and right off camera, you have your Conan sign. It's very cute in that garage.
Yeah, I have he held up a blown up version of our album cover, and I took the nameplate off the dressing room door. You know, they just printed it on paper. It says, you know, Conan Ninja Sex Party, and I got it framed with the album cover that he held up. And also, part of the shtick was we held up cue cards as part of the song, and one of his producers was like, you know, if you guys leave that here, I think we can get him to sign it. And I have right over here, he signed it and, you know, wrote a whole thing, and it was like fucking Conan. That really was a dream come true. Yeah,
I have like a little cubby of just like weird memorabilia like that, and I've always been like a sucker for that. I was big into RuneScape, and I remember,
nice,
of course,
this is so fucking stupid because you have like a bank in the game and you can like store items there. I literally had like a stick, like a generic stick item or something like that, or maybe like a wooden sword or something like that. That I was like, this is the one that my cousin gave me when we first played, like stuff like that, like that. But I do think I still do love little, and I have like a whole like back section of just like little memorabilia from like things like that. I think it's important to just like remember stuff like that. But you guys want to know something really fucked up?
Always.
So in 2017, me and some friends of mine made a video game, released it on Steam. It was like our first thing. It's a whole story and a half. And I've been thinking about making like a long form YouTube video about sort of like, because it is like a very middle of the road game dev story. In our stats, I think this is like, would be the like intro pitch of the video, is that like we are like exactly ranked 50% or like around there for like action video games. So like we are like quantitatively just like middle of the road. But like, you know, the moral of the video is that like we learned like a ton of lessons, and it's been like great to talk about like on resumes and stuff like that, and was like a great lesson for a lot of us. So, but in that video game, we put in some cheat codes for, it was like a spaceship pixel art game kind of a thing. And one of the cheat codes we put in, and this is not a joke, you can check it, I promise I didn't add this there, this has always been there, is for a ship like this.
Oh, what? No, you're kidding me.
Which is so funny.
That is amazing.
Also had a bird juice in there, which was cute.
Oh, dude, what?
Which is
holy shit.
Wild.
That's incredible. Wow, that blows my mind.
Weird? Isn't that fucked up?
That's
full circle moment.
When did you guys make that?
2017.
Wow, and you put the 6969 chip in there. That's awesome.
That's so cool. I'm curious about how, like, what your science background is, but also how you got into game development.
So I was a big English and theater kid. I, in high school, like wrote and self-published a book that I still, still have here because I think it's so funny to have.
Okay, do tell. I want to know everything about this book.
It's such a high school thing. I like did it in secret because like I was like, this way I can like show everyone and be like, oh, here's this thing that I did. And then like, and I like literally went up to like a girl I liked and was like, hey, look, the book. And she was like, oh, cool. And I was like, well, okay, bye. And then I was like, what the fuck did I think? What was I? What? That doesn't make any fucking stupid fucking.
Can you please tell us the title of this book, Tom?
This book is called Gear. It's the name of a character, but you don't know that until like the last chapter when you realize that the character the whole time actually was a different character that had this name. It's like a magical realism. Reading a ton of Chuck Palahniuk at the time. Also was big into the theater at my high school. All this to say, I went to Vassar, which is a artsy fartsy place specifically to study English and theater. And then my freshman year, my mom was like, you should take a computer science course. That's what she sounds like. She sounds exactly like that.
Yep, dead on. I was going to say, of course I know your mom very well. And
she's here right now. Hi, Tom. I love and respect you. And I'm very proud of all the creative work you've done along with your professional work. Oh, Mom, that's great. That's so cool.
Wow.
Also get your hair cut. Okay, so that's how you know it's really her. But she was like, you should take a computer science course. And I was like, I hacked around on my PSP. I guess I'll give it a shot. And fucking had the best teacher in the whole world, Jenny. And was just the sweetest and just met everyone where they were. And I remember so clearly the moment where, like, one of the first things you do in computer science is like string manipulations, like characters and words. You like reverse the letters, like make a program that can like take the letters and reverse them or something like that. And she was just like, we were doing one of them palindromes. And so she was like, my favorite palindrome is stack cats. And then I remember in the library after that, making a program that could like print out an ASCII art of like a stack of cats given a number. And I was spending like an hour on it. And I was like, what? I'm fucked. I like this too much. I was like, oh no. Like this is the equivalent of like when you like knitting like a sweater for someone you're like, I'm fucked. I'm head over heels with this thing. Like I like this too much. It's bad for me. And then I took another class in cognitive science, which is what my second major was, because I think I was listening to like a lot of like Radio Lab and stuff at the time. I thought that was interesting. And so then I had to go to my pre-major advisor every semester and he'd be like, oh, you're taking a lot of science classes and not a lot of English and theater, like you said. And I was like, And he's like, I'm not going to see you much anymore, am I? I was like, no, sorry.
But that is the truly great thing about a liberal arts school. So I went to Williams College and I thought I was going to go in and major in physics and philosophy. And I ended up doing math and music instead, which, okay, it's not too different, but like I love music. Never thought I could study composition and all that. Like you start doing something in a liberal arts education, a liberal arts college like Vassar or Williams or whatever, you can just walk down that path.
And I think
it's
also
great,
there's a lot of like, I literally until sophomore year of college thought that poli-sci meant multiple sciences. Like poly, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like you get to study like all of them and like their interactions and stuff, and that's so cool. But late into the game stuff, it was like as soon as I took CS 101, I was like, gotta figure out how to make games. And I did the classic game dev mistake of like, my first game will be my dream project. It was going to be a cooperative and competitive split screen 2-player fighting game that was also narrative, that had combinatorial moves. Like you could pick 2 colors, and like depending on the colors you picked, they could then interact in different ways. So it was like an exponential like combinations of moves and stuff. And it was based off of the lore of this fucking high school book.
Oh my God.
That rules.
It rules, and it also sucks. And because like there were literally like times where I was like, it would be so much cooler if I could just like do this instead. I was like, but I can't. I was like, who the fuck am I? My boss's high school me is saying like, you can't break the lore of the book that only one of your friends read.
Yes.
And I remember so clear as day, like, and I'm going to say it out loud here so I actually make this video. This is all like part of the stuff of the video I want to make about this whole game story. But like, I remember one of my computer science heroes at Vassar was this person named Kat, and she had already graduated and was messaging me and was like, hey, Tom, how's that game you were working on when you were a freshman? And I was like, it's still good. I think if I have like a few more levels, I might finally have a thing I can actually show people, like a playable demo. And she was like, oh no, you gotta like, she was like, I know you love this dearly. Just like get a version out. And that was good. And then I went to do a bunch of like game jam stuff, which I loved dearly. Did some Loom Dare and stuff. Did well on some of them, which was placed like 6th or something in one of them. Loved that. But then now was swinging too hard the opposite direction, which was just like, I was making all game jam games. And then made that game with some friends, and it was fun. It was a whole thing. Leighton, I don't know if you feel like that echoes a similar story at all with the perils of game development at all.
I never thought that I would actually go into game development. I went to art school for sequential art was my major, because I wanted to make comics, and then quickly realized that I lack the constitution to make comics. And I was thinking like, oh, maybe I'll minor in game development or something. But, we started working on Dream Daddy, and I was having a rough time in college. I think I did that thing where you kind of grow up in a shitty situation and you see college as like your escape. Like, I'm going to spend my whole childhood fixating on college. And then I got there and it didn't instantly fix all my problems. So I was really upset about that. But working on the game, it was like once it came out, I suddenly had like a career and stuff and realized that I really liked doing it.
Also, I mean, you guys really, you had such a unicorn out of the gate with your first ever game. Like, it's such a cool and unusual thing, right?
It 6 years on continues to be difficult seeing it as a thing that we did instead of like something that happened to us.
Yes.
Like it was some, act of God, like just incredibly lucky thing, which it was. But it's really hard for me to be like, we made a whole ass game. We did that. Not, it got dropped in your lap.
A whole ass, widely beloved and successful game. Not just a game. You did more than just make a game. You made a hit game that people love dearly. A couple episodes ago, we had an old comedy friend of mine, Chris Grace, on. And, Chris and I have known each other for years. And he came on the show and he was like, I had no idea that you did a show with one of the Dream Daddy people. Oh, my God.
And he played our new horror game, which was really
he's just
sweet.
The best guy. And by the way, I said this, I think on a mini, or maybe, I don't know if we were recording, he recently did an Edinburgh Fringe show, which was a huge hit. So we talked to him right before he was going to Edinburgh, and apparently the show just crushed. So big shout out to Chris for
Congrats, Chris. You fucking
Edinburgh.
Deserve it. He's awesome.
I will say, Leighton, I feel like I had a similar feeling with TikTok when I first hopped onto that, because like the first video I made did kind of implode a little bit. I have big love-hate relationships, but that is sort of how I got to become an internet-y person. But like, it's a thing that felt like happened to me rather than was made. But, you know, I think the way I always rationalize it to myself is that like there was so much work beforehand to make me the kind of person I was to make the thing. So there is so much more to it than just like the thing it was. So is all the time before that made the thing. I don't know if that helps at all, but sometimes that's what I think about.
That totally makes sense. And also, like, you know, Dream Daddy came out a month before I turned 20. And
So
it was
crazy.
the result of me spending all of my teenage years busting ass to do something and to escape. And I did. And then it was just like, congrats, you're an adult now. You have a career. Here you go.
By the way, not only are you an adult, you're a public figure. Right. And
yes,
people have very strong opinions, both positive and negative, about a thing you did.
Indeed. You're not even a fully formed person yet. And so I dropped out of school and I moved out here, and things have been weird ever since. Good, weird, but weird.
Yeah, I just saw on this TikTok that I posted a couple days ago, my first in a year or whatever, I saw a comment that said, "Sometimes I forget Brian is a real person." And I was like, what? What?
Saying the quiet part out loud,
Yeah,
I guess.
I mean, but isn't that true about everybody online or TV or whatever, any kind of public figure? It's like, no, that's a human being. Like, when you say mean things about them, they don't like it.
I do think that like the TikTok of stuff has maybe helped a bit for people to understand that people are people, just by the nature of the fact that like it is one of the more like open video platforms that like people do actually like still organically have like millions of views and are just like a person recording a video like in their car on their lunch break and stuff like that. Right. I hate TikTok for a lot of reasons. I think the algorithmicness of it all is bonkers. I think it's broken in a lot of way. Like for whatever reason, my app will not show me videos from my mutuals, which is just like,
really?
It's just like a miserable, fully. And I've even like done tests where I've unfollowed every single person except for my mutuals to test this. And then like, it just like shows like a blank page on the following tab. So like, it's just like a stupid and bad. And then also there's of course, inherently whether purposefully or unpurposefully, racist algorithms and the way that they boost and hide other things. But like, aside from all that, the one like amazing thing that I do love about TikTok is that like the fact that so many people are making stuff, especially like in the education space. Do you still see comments a lot about people being like, "Oh, you could be like the Asian Bill Nye or like the female Bill Nye or something like that." And people are always like, "You could be the Bill Nye, Bill Nye, Bill Nye." And I'm so firmly like, this is a million times better than a Bill Nye, because in this ecosystem you have 1,000 science creators. We don't have to have a monoculture science communicator anymore.
That's right. One
of my mutuals, Lindsay Nicole, made a video about like which bat species you are based on your zodiac sign. And it's like, that doesn't resonate with me a ton, but like it has a ton of views and it has a ton of people. And that's how some people like best communicate with that. And like, that's fucking rules. Like that's amazing. And so that aspect of TikTok is really, really cool. Monetization fucking sucks. All kinds of other stuff is bad and horrible. But like, that is my little prepackaged rant.
TikTok, of course.
It's really...
Sorry, please, Leighton. I value women's voices.
It's really good. It's really good to hear like positives about TikTok.
Ally.
Because
see?
It's women respect her.
Yes, that's me.
It's really good to hear somebody talk about the positives of the platform, because I feel like all I ever see is negativity about it. And I am also really negative about it, despite not using it, which is the perfect old man yells at cloud, even though I am like literally age-wise, demographically smack dab in the middle of, major target audience.
It's wild that I can feel old on a platform like that. That's it's so...
Tell me about it. For my TikTok, I follow two types of people, musicians and science communicators. And both of them on TikTok are fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah. Music also, 100%. Yeah.
Music's incredible on TikTok, and so many musicians have like blown up through TikTok. You know, you get these people who do this super, super rad stuff. I love music on TikTok. You know, obviously TikTok has a big disinformation side, you know, of anti or pseudoscientific stuff as well, of course. But the science communicators on TikTok, generally speaking, like are it's exactly what you say, Tom. It's interesting. It's stuff that I have not seen done elsewhere at all like that. And it's, you know, it's people doing really, really great and I think genuinely important work. It's how you get the people. The one person I bring up all the time and have talked about in the show, who I'd love to have on, is Online Kine, who is a math drag queen.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Amazing.
And so I just saw one of her videos, and a lot of the stuff she does is like, and this is not a knock at all, it's like college level math, okay? She just posted a video being like, all right, I'm going to explain Andrew Wiles' proof of Fermat's last theorem.
Yes.
And I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. Hell yeah. And she said like modular forms and elliptic curves and all this stuff. That's high level shit. This is like graduate level math that, okay. So there are plenty of videos out there where somebody's explaining Wiles' proof of Fermat's last theorem, blah, blah, blah. But not too many in an accessible way, and nobody in full drag. Like, where else are you going to get this? I thought that was so great. And there's so many examples, like you say, of it's like this interesting way of doing it and communicating from this particular perspective is not something I could get elsewhere.
I have to obligatory shout out one of my friends who's a science communicator on here who I get genuinely mad how few followers they have. They are like precisely my brand of science humor and like, but also like showing all the sources on the screen and also having some of the coldest, wry sense of humor that I really love is Trash Bandicoot. Ashlyn Trash Bandicoot on TikTok, who is amazing. Did a series that popped off a while ago about calling out Blathers in Animal Crossing for spreading slightly wrong misinformation about like fossil facts and stuff like that. Jokingly, obviously, loves the game, it's been great.
That is fantastic.
I was going to say that I think one of the really great things about the internet, you especially see this in like art circles and music circles and game development, especially, that tools that are free have been made available and accessible, and having like this dearth of like Blender, for example. I started learning Blender in the past year, and like all of that was from YouTube. And if you're 15 and you want to make cool stuff for free, you can get like a legitimately good education and have access to tools. And I think that TikTok is putting like really accessible and pretty robust like editing tools. Yeah. And I think there are a lot of like skills, especially, you know, if you want to get into like acting, comedy, whatever you're doing, you have access to a global community of people who are also doing it and who have experience that you can learn from. And I think that is always a good thing, despite, you know, whatever other valid misgivings there are about the platform.
Totally.
100%. I'm always curious, Tom. A handful of recommendation, other science communicators to follow on TikTok. Just people you like off the top of your head.
Yeah. Trash Bandicoot's my number one. Bandicoot with a K there. Odd Pride is great. They do sort of all general history, knowledge, science. Hank Green's a good starting point if you just need like a good seed into your... I gotta say, I don't know how he does so many.
I have genuinely no idea.
I also do know that I am wild in this aspect, but I will spend so much agonizing time on TikToks. I get very like into my head. And one time there was a video I had where I was blowing 2 party streamers as like a one-off gag. Finished it, edited it, captioned it all. And then I was like, what if people think that represents the Ukrainian flag during this conflict? And that would be seen as a political statement. So I fucking reshot it all with different color. And my friend was like, what are you talking about?
Yes.
Also, first of all, like that's the correct side. So like, it's not even like, it's just like, I very much need to rely on my friends.
But that's such a real person who has been on the internet for a long time.
It's all the preemptive
neuroses.
Yeah.
Because everyone I know, I'm like that. Like,
I'm 100%
and it's, you know,
like that.
you tell a normal person And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And it's like, you don't know. You haven't seen the things that I've seen.
Well, it's two things, right? One is some genuine fear that it could cause you and your career distress. The other, which for me is probably the larger one, is like, wait, what am I going to have to deal with? Really? It's not like I think anyone would plausibly consider that whatever stripe of uncool you want to consider it
This
being.
is not genuinely harmful, but it could be perceived in a way that would cause people to be very mad at me. And I'm a desperate, pathetic people pleaser.
Yes, 100%. You know, I think all the time about this is like, okay, so let's say someone took this out of context and accused me of fill in the blank. Well, there's an obvious, like no rational person would actually think I meant that. So I'm not worried about it.
But the internet isn't rational, my friend.
So then it gets clipped and blah, blah, blah. By the way, on our most recent mini episode, although to the recording, not when this comes out, there's a very cool quote about a certain actor that could easily be used. Not going to mention it. But I think I'm not worried about saying something that's genuinely awful because I think I wouldn't do that. I mean, sure, always possible, but who knows? I don't think I would say anything that was genuinely terrible. I'm much more worried about having to deal with an onslaught of bullshit that is from people misquoting or misinterpreting something.
Because it's not proportionate. No response on the internet is ever proportionate. Like there's a certain amount that is appropriate if you've fucked up 100%. A bit, but there's no speed limiter on the way that the internet does anything.
Yes.
You know, this is very like bad and like internet brained of me, but like the first time we got like a 2-star review on our podcast, I was like, oh shit, we're like hitting other people.
Yep.
Like, or like whenever a TikTok gets like the first comment that's like, science isn't real. I'm like, oh man, this video is blowing up. This is doing good. Like it's reached outside the bubble.
This is doing numbers.
Yeah. Last one is this. I did one video where I'd spent like months working on this because it was about like buoyancy, which is just such a impossible thing to like explain clearly and visually. Had done this video, posted it, captioned it, everything. And then like an hour later, after it's already getting traction, I realized I had spelled buoyancy wrong every single time in the captions. It's like,
did you do it B-O-U-Y?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But what I did was and this is another great feature that TikTok does is like friends only videos. Mm-hmm. And so I just made one and I just was like, I made this mistake and I'm just going to leave it and that's fine. And I'm going to go roller skating and not think about it. Mm-hmm. Not one comment. Not
really?
Not one single comment. And then like I was able to change it when I then posted it to like YouTube and stuff like that. But like if I had been like slightly more negative that day, I probably would have just like deleted and re-uploaded and just like tanked some of the stats. The last thing, just because I was on my phone looking up other folks who are great. Evelyn Vollmer is a great paleontologist who we had on our podcast before. Marine Bioho does marine bio stuff. Rockman Ethan and Geo Beckley do great geology stuff. It's great. If you follow enough of those like seed people, eventually you'll get more folks like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember when I was on Game Grumps, I remember seeing some post at some point where someone was like, I fucking hate the Brian Weck style of humor. And
that was me, actually.
Yes, of course, yes. I remember thinking, fuck yeah, there's a Brian Weck style of humor.
That's
Hell
a great
yeah.
spin.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I have a recognizable comedic voice. That's what you want. Right? It's like, that's my style.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I have a style and someone hates it.
Did they define what the Brian Wecht style of humor was?
I don't even remember. I think I might have just seen the
being hot and funny.
The thing. Yeah. Just being very cool and funny and handsome, you know?
And everybody likes the person. And well, speaking of Brian Weck's style of comedy.
Yeah.
It's time for segments.
Wow. Okay. Well, I guess it is time for segments, isn't it now? And we have 2 segments on this show. The first segment is our pop culture recommendation segment. This is the point in the show in which we and our esteemed guest get to talk about some culture, either high culture or low culture. It doesn't have to be pop culture. we've been enjoying recently. Could be a book, a movie, a video game, a comic strip, a graphic novel, a symphony, whatever it is. You get to talk about.
What does the theme song sound like, Brian?
Well, Tom, I'm getting to that. And I'll be there. I'll be there in a moment.
God bless you for listening to episodes of the show, Tom.
Yes, indeed.
You came prepared.
So, what do I want to say about the theme song? You really opened up something that's near and dear to my heart, Tom, with the discussion of the theme song. I normally don't like to talk about the theme song of this show, of this segment, I should say, or the theme song of the show. We could talk about the theme song of the show, which is something that, we don't really get into much. Occasionally, very occasionally, once every 50 or so episodes, I will make reference to I shouldn't say the segment name yet, to the theme song for this upcoming segment. But one thing that I actually would love feedback on from listeners, Tom, from you, less so from you, Leighton, but sure, if you must, is the theme song for this show. Should we change it? Do people like it? Et cetera, et cetera. But the segment that we're coming up against right now, which most people call, well, I'll say the name in just a second.
I'm so sorry if I did this. I'm so sorry if I'm responsible for this build-up.
There's nothing anyone can do.
Tom, that actually brings up an interesting point. Responsibility is actually something I've been thinking a lot about.
All right, go listen to my podcast. Recently. It's called Let's Learn Everything, just before people tune out.
Nobody's ever tuned out from this show, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, not even the time that you did this for 15 minutes? You inserted yourself extending this?
Oh, that's right. I did do that, didn't I? There was one time when I without telling Leighton, I contacted Jarek, our producer, and I said, I recorded an extra bit. Please put it in and make sure to do it after Leighton approves the episode.
Yeah, that was a nasty surprise.
It's called co-hosting. God. I don't know, maybe like get used to it or something, Leighton.
Adversarial co-hosting.
Yeah, that's exactly what we are.
Oh my God.
Anyway, the segment that we are doing, and I will say the name now, is called What's Poppin'. And as is well known, I unfortunately do not have the ability to play the theme song right now on the show. I wish I did, but unfortunately, technology has not advanced to that point quite yet. We hope to be there someday, but that day is not today. The theme song, which we insert in post, goes here.
What's poppin'?
What's poppin'? Great. That is the theme song for What's Poppin'. Now, Tom, you have heard past episodes.
I have.
So you can actually, I don't know if you remember it, you could react and tell me your opinion of the theme song too.
Yeah, my opinion is this is one of the most wild recurring bits in any podcast. It's so strange and meta, and I feel like there must have been some origin. I probably haven't reached it, but it's just has become such a funny like meta. And also, like, what do you want me to? What is the question? What is the answer to say? What should I say? It's good. I like it. What a wild thing to ask someone is like, hey, by the way, for it to be a recurring thing, is like, and now, as always, we ask our guests, what did you think about that song you either vaguely remember or haven't heard before? It's good.
Great. Perfect. I do want to correct a misconception here, is that if you think this is about the other person's reaction to the What's Poppin' theme song, you are wrong. This is the segment of the show where I get to, for once in the show, normally the show, I don't say that much. It's mostly Leighton, just yammering on about whatever. I actually get to have a moment to myself, to take a moment to breathe. The show is, we're all about, our breakneck pace. We never really let up. We never take our foot off the gas. It's high octane podcasting. We're at premium. We're 91 on podcast octane, 93 maybe even. And I like to think of this as the point of the show where we get to take a moment to reflect, to think about ourselves as people and as podcasters.
So come to a grinding halt. Is that what you're saying? That's a rephrase.
It's like an intermission where it gives the audience of the play a chance to be like, this shit sucks. And then you can gracefully
it is also
exit.
sort of like if one of the main characters leaned out to the audience and was like, by the way, what'd you think of that song? That last one was good? Good? Do you remember it? It was good. Cool.
Yep. It was only recently with Chris, who we mentioned earlier, where he framed this as me being desperate for validation, which I thought was a really cool way and legitimately something that had never occurred to me.
Which is shocking. Reveals so much about the inner workings of your psyche, Brian Wecht.
To be like, this is entirely a bit. It can't be misinterpreted.
No, but I do want to push back. I've never done a bit on this show. There are no bits on this show.
Of course.
This show does not have bits. We have segments and experiences, and this has been both. So
experiences.
Yes.
The experience of closing your preferred podcast listening app in favor of literally anything else.
Clayton, what's popping?
Let's learn everything. I'll be a vulture.
What's popping for me is the YouTube channel of somebody named Mickey Atkins, who is a therapist and YouTuber. YouTube therapists put me off a bit because I think that done poorly, it can be like an actively harmful thing to like broadly pathologize, especially like things that are in the news or public figures or whatever. Like, I think there are a lot of ways that can be unhealthy. But Mickey does a really great job of coming from a really good, like, trauma-informed background and does not throw around diagnoses and is very, like, focused on caring for yourself. But she does these really great videos talking about, like, this kind of new generation of fundamentalists on social media, which is like a hyperfixation for me, having grown up in a pretty oppressively Christian milieu. And she goes really deep into like purity culture and, you know, has a background of she had a phase where she was really, really Christian. And it's such a thoughtful and nuanced and respectful take on a bunch of kind of despicably hateful people sometimes. And it's very refreshing, and she's really funny, and I've been really enjoying watching her channel. So Mickey Atkins, YouTube, check it out.
It's easy to remember. It's like the mouse and the diet.
You know, I DM'd her asking to come on the show. So here's hoping she doesn't.
Mini keto?
No, that was I used to dance.
Here's hoping she doesn't listen to this.
I say that with respect.
Yeah. She recently did a video about two particularly hateful people who I'm just not going to name because I don't want to platform them at all. But they're prominent is too strong a word, but they're, you know, very loud, young fundies where, you know, she talks about a bunch of harmful shit that they did. And one of them made a response video that was incredibly obnoxious and went after her for her weight. And it was just really disgusting. And the way that she responded to it on social media, like she handled it with such grace.
You'll love to see it.
Yeah.
It was just like, this says everything about who you are as a person and who exactly this pile of shit is. That like they won't address your extremely valid argument at all.
Right, and they just go ad hominem like right away.
Yeah.
That's fucking dumb.
So anyway, yeah, Mickey, you rule. Keep doing your thing. Tom, what's poppin'?
What's poppin' for me is fucking Adventure Time, baby.
Okay.
We're so back. The new Fiona and Cake series, which I initially thought was just going to somehow be like a spin-off, is very much, I don't know if it's any other way to interpret it besides like a continuation of the series. It's the definition of we're so back. It's so it's still that
That's
beautiful
awesome.
thing of being both like silly and grounded in the most extreme ways. And, you know, because it's more focused now, doesn't have to do as many like filler episodes, which I know some people were iffy about. A good friend of mine was like started recently watching Adventure Time, and it's like, God, there's like so many seasons. And like, you know, was in the intro, the beginning parts where it's like mostly like goofy, which I do love, but like, you know, when you're trying to be an adult human being and do other things, but then also have catch up on this, it's like, they were like, is this good? And I remember loving Adventure Time. Like, was it actually that good? And then I saw this TikTok where someone set like really fast, like clips of some of the like most meaningful moments to Adrienne Lenker's song Anything, if you know that one. And I was just like, oh my God, like this is, I forgot like there is so much to this. And I was like, no, it's a good show, actually. I do actually like it. And I think this sequel like treats it with so much respect. Like it feels grown up a little bit more, but in a way that like still loves who it used to be, which is, kind of rare for like a sequel to do. And it's also just like so interesting, and they're trying so much new stuff still. And so it's really cool. And the episodes are coming out. I think there's going to be one tomorrow. It just, when we're recording this, it just about recently came out, and I'm so hyped, and it's so cool.
It's funny you mentioned that. I was just thinking about Adventure Time this week. I've seen a bunch, but not like even most. And I was curious. I think I was like, should I watch that with my 9-year-old? I mean, probably that would be good, but I wonder if it would be over her head a bit. But I think she would like the parts that are more accessible. I don't know. I've been curious. Like, what do you think? Nine is fine. I mean, it's for kids in many ways, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think the like drama is very like still in the silly world, and I think it does do a good job of the like, not as much of the like Calvin and Hobbes like layering the like parents understand this part, but it manages to do that without it being two separate layers, I guess. I don't know. It's still good.
That's great.
Awesome. Brian.
Yes.
What's poppin'?
What's popping for me this week is last week on Thursday, I went to the Ford Theater here in beautiful Los Angeles to see an 80th birthday concert for Meredith Monk, who is a composer, choreographer, vocalist, filmmaker, like one of these polymathic genius talents, and a composer whose work I have loved for a very long time. And what I didn't realize is that this concert, first of all, the Ford Theater is probably my favorite venue in LA. It's an outdoor theater right across from the Hollywood Bowl, but it's much smaller and it's right against these beautiful hills. It's a great, great, great venue. But what they did was, it was Meredith Monk, who again is 80, and 3 other vocalists and an ensemble of super talented musicians called the Bang on a Can All-Stars, who did a full album of hers. So this is my What's Poppin'. It's a Meredith Monk album from 2020 called Memory Game, in which they took a bunch of her works and rearranged them. And the ones I know that were there already are pretty much the same, but with just, reorchestrated and that sort of stuff. But her stuff is so fucking weird in the best way. Her compositional style is very minimalist, like a Steve Reich or a Philip Glass. But she adds to that these extended vocal techniques. There's a lot of, like really wild vocal stuff going on. And it's just awesome. It's like unapologetically just its own thing. And seeing her, I've been listening to her stuff for, 35 years or whatever. Like, I've always thought she was amazing. And seeing her in person sing her own stuff with this ensemble of people was just amazing. So the What's Poppin' for me is this Meredith Monk album from 2020 called Memory Game, but also that incredible concert, because it's just, she's 80 years old. Who knows how much longer we have with her, and she's still going strong, sounded great. And it was a new music concert with a packed crowd, packed. And it's so nice when these like weird classical things get an audience, right? Not a young crowd, mind you, but a packed crowd. So
if you had
it's
to
great. Yeah.
recommend like one song for people who have never listened to her stuff before to check out, what would you recommend?
She has this like sci-fi opera called The Games. Is it called the Game Masters song? Let me look this up. Game Masters song. What I liked about it, and this is something I actually have been thinking about a lot in a broader context, is the stuff is odd and you have to buy into it. You have to just go in knowing I'm going to buy into this. And if you don't, it's very easy to stand at a distance and be like, what? She's just going, or whatever. It's very easy to look at it with detachment. And what I loved about this crowd is everybody bought in and it was like, we're going to do this. So yeah, Game Master's song, this Memory Game version is great. My first Meredith Monk album was, it was a Meredith Monk, John Cage album called Pianos and Voices, which must have come out in the 80s.
That collaboration makes so much sense.
It really, really does. They're pictured together on the cover, like in the same place. They're contemporaries, although he's a bit older. And the Game Master song from that album, Meredith Monk, Pianos and Voices, is fantastic.
Rock and roll.
Wonderful.
So, Layton.
Now it's time for our final segment, which is 3 parts gratitude exercise, 1 part petty
Sorry,
grousing.
can you go through the intro a little faster? We're kind of short on time here.
Good God.
Do you see the disrespect that I have to put up with every fucking week, multiple times a week?
It's also, I'm thinking about him thinking about that joke while he was rambling on in the first half, being like, ooh, and then like,
Yeah, I'm really going to show her.
I will reiterate, I don't make jokes. I don't do bits. I provide experiences.
The experience you were thinking
Thank
about.
you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Tom. Yes.
Anyway, it's fucking peaches and lemons. Let's go.
Hell yeah, it is.
Peaches and lemons. Peaches and lemons.
Wow, holy fucking shit. That was the theme song to Peaches and Lemons.
Whoa.
That I always swear has the Discord notification. Actually, no, I'm thinking of the What's Poppin' theme song. Excuse me. Never mind. I'm an idiot.
Layton, what do you think about the What's Poppin' theme song?
Stop.
Now that you mentioned
Stop.
it. Okay.
Stop.
Even I thought that one was too much.
Yeah, don't even push it. We're all going to start with a lemon. Tom, you've listened to the show. It's a thing that's a minor bummer or annoyance. I'll go first because I love inserting myself into this. This actually might have been my lemon from last week, and I don't care because I have no concept of time or memory. Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty is coming out later this month. Very excited about it. But the good folks at CD Projekt Red were like, you need a fresh install. No mods. No mods or it's not going to work. And so now I have to get rid of all of my mods. And I know that there's going to be like a ton of new stuff in the game and that people are going to figure out how to fix everything. But it's like, no, my radio stations. I have so many synthwave and like Japanese city pop.
You cyberpunked your cyberpunk.
I did. I'm stoked for the DLC. It's just, I just recently realized that I have to do a clean install of my Fallout New Vegas mods too. And it's just sense of loss.
Clean install's the name of the villain in the new series, right?
Yeah, in Space Jam 3 instead of Algae Rhythm.
Oh my God, that's like a tick
clean
villain.
install.
Clean install. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my lemon. Who has a lemon?
I can go with my lemon. My lemon is just, it's not software updates in general. It's like software updates to programs that you thought you knew how to use. And then Photoshop or whatever comes in and it's like, hey, you know that tool you liked? Well, guess what? Now it's something different. And also you didn't really know how to use
try
Photoshop
our AI tools?
anyway. Yes, right.
What about our AI tools though?
So I'm not good at Photoshop. I don't know how to do that shit. I've just kind of, pieced it together over the years to do the bare minimum. And I went to use Photoshop for something today. And I was like, they changed the tool? Oh, come on.
What's the tool that you were looking for?
It was a select tool.
Like Magic Select, the little magic wand?
Object Select, which seems to look differently than I thought it did. I don't know. Well, here's the other thing is maybe I just didn't understand it to begin with. And it was always like that because I don't know what I'm doing. So,
well, there's also when you have the tab on the left, right, there are multiple tools stacked onto each icon. So like if you hold down that select, it'll show you the different.
Right.
I don't know if that solves anything. It's bad software.
I was using Photoshop for years before I realized that very fact. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not good at it. I barely know what I'm doing, but I successfully made a YouTube thumbnail. So, congratulations,
good work.
Me. Yeah. Tom,
lemon.
There's some peaches to go that are related to this, but did get laid off, and that was a big lemon.
Oh no!
From my day job, kind of a thing. Can't talk too much about it, but the one thing I will say is previously was laid off at a place where we had just unionized, and that was a much better process of being laid off. And I highly recommend getting a little union. That's my plug. There is that it's better than, but yeah, just a little jarring in terms of the day schedule of it all. And also corporations don't love you as a friendly reminder.
They do not, but they are people.
And they're your best friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Genuine official late night stance. Union good, corporations bad.
Yep.
I'm sorry to hear that, man. That is a bummer.
That's a bummer.
All right. Well, peaches. I will also go first. My first one is that I'm almost done with my latest journal that has spanned me. I really slacked on writing in this journal because like the first entry is like 2021, which is
wow.
Bad of me. Like this one saw me through a bunch of shit. It was my journal in the nut house and I've got like 3 pages left. It's almost done. And then I have a sexy fresh one somewhere around here. And I'm excited to break ground on a new one.
You have sexy mods installed on that drum.
I do, yeah. No, I have my friend Allie, friend of the show, guest, did this awesome Judith beheading Holofernes sticker.
Oh, that's great.
And I have a second one, and I immediately slapped it because it's yeah, this is perfect. But yeah, so that's Peach 1. Peach 2 is that I love a good frozen food because I'm lazy and I enjoy eating garbage. The low self-esteem is radiating off of me today. But I found a new one, Saffron Road butter chicken and coconut chicken curry. It's so fucking good.
Ooh,
great.
It's filling, it's tasty, it's comforting. I'm obsessed with it and I can't wait to burn out on it once it starts tasting like depression.
Sick.
Yep.
As is always the case, and why I can't eat any of the Amy's frozen foods anymore, because that broccoli and cheddar mac and cheese, boy, it tastes like I don't have enough serotonin.
Fused with memories, yeah.
Yeah. Also, one time I got one that was moldy and I was eating it in the dark, so I just thought it was broccoli, and I was like, why does this taste like shit? Yeah. Anyway, my last peach is a text that Brian sent me last night that made me laugh really, really hard, which is simply a screenshot of an article headline that has a picture of Stephen King. And the headline is, Stephen King played Mambo No. 5 so much that his wife threatened to leave him. And that's real. That's true.
Yeah.
Wait. I saw that just out of context. That was Stephen King?
That was Stephen
Yep.
King.
It was the extended dance remix of Mambo No. 5. And also from the
Yes.
Rolling Stone article that this is from, he reveals that he's really big into LCD sound system. So, wow, go off,
That
King.
checks out,
literally.
I suppose.
Do you know what blew my mind?
What?
Do you know where Lou Bega is from?
No.
That is a German man. Lou Bega is German. His name
What?
is something Lou Bega. And he adopted the name Lou Bega.
Whoa.
And I was like, oh, that's an American guy. Maybe, I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know where he's from. Maybe he's, he's Latino. I don't know. Nope, that is just I don't know
Does
what
he
his
have a
ethnicity
German
is at all.
accent?
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about him except he's but let me fact check this before I really go out on Diana's hill.
Spreading misinformation.
His name is David Lubega Balamezi, and he is a German singer.
Wow.
Wild.
Oh
Good
my
for
God.
him.
Wait a minute. He is exactly, now this is going to blow your mind, 9 days older than me.
Wow. And what have you been
Exactly.
doing with your life, Brian? Physics? Raising
Well, you
a
still
child?
got 9 days.
Yeah, I still have 9 days. That's
Make
right.
up for it.
Well, wow. Look at that. Very impressive. Okay. So, yeah.
Well, all right. Those were my peaches, and that's Lou Bega.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Tom, what are your peaches?
My first peach is related to the lemon. And I always have to be crystal clear, laid off from day job, not the podcast or anything
Right,
like that,
right.
still making all that stuff. But first peach is I made the dumbest video about being laid off where it was set to the song Celebration. And I went, guess who got laid off? It's me. And then just was hire me and stuff. And
That's
everyone
great.
was so kind. I almost didn't post it because I was like, this is so dumb. But has been super kind, has reached out, and there are some very interesting opportunities that I have been looking
Cool.
into that may be
Hey.
even better than the last thing. So
Love it.
that turned into a peach. Second peach is is Vocaloid music. There's an app called Project Sekai. It's like a Hatsune Miku rhythm game. It's very obtuse. It has sort of that Fortnite energy of there's a million different things in the interface. I had one of my good friends help me explain it, but I play the song, I listen to the songs, and I'm smiling, just
That's
full on
great.
cheesing at this game because it's just such a cool genre. There's so much new to it from that perspective to be holy shit. I think one of the songs that got me into it was The Vampire, which has Hatsune Miku in it. And I was just oh, fuck. It's the Back to the Future. What is this? You got kind of a
Yeah.
discovery of that. It's great.
There's something so weirdly soothing about the Miku voice. The
Oh, yeah.
modulation
Yeah.
of it is
Mhm.
just, it scratches an itch.
Recently on Twitter, people have been there's a new AI voice person that's been signed and it's the first one ever. And it's fucking no.
Miku's been here. Fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you. last peach is having lights. For the longest time, my light in my kitchen and my bathroom were out, and I was fully convinced it was like a wiring issue. And so I've just was living way too long using like my phone flashlight and stuff. Yeah, fully, and being like, this is fine. I don't really need this. And then one day, like, finally changed them and was like, oh, I needed this. This is good, actually. And, I think there might be like a lesson to extrapolate that from to like other. No, never mind. No, I think it's just lights, actually.
It's just lights, yeah.
Sorry, that was wild. There's no way that can be. But yeah, the lights are good. Turns out.
Lights are good.
That's great.
It is
Brian,
great. Yes.
Hit us with your peaches and really try to like make it snappy, please.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate.
You have a tendency
I would be a hypocrite if I
bit.
gave feedback but didn't receive it graciously, and I do appreciate that, Layden.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Peach number 1. Today is my daughter Audrey's first day of 4th grade, and kids getting big. 4th grade. Like, I remember 4th grade.
4th grade.
You remember 4th grade?
Yeah,
getting big, and it's just I love watching her grow up. She's the best. Peach 2 is I tackled one of those, like, when am I going to fucking do this? I don't want to do it projects. Look at this. Can you guess what's in this bag? This is a full bag of hard drives.
Oh.
Of God knows what. And I went through that bag and I figured out what was on them. And I backed up the stuff I needed to back up, and I classified them, and I even came up with an abbreviation. WM, won't mount. So what's on this drive? Only Jesus knows.
All right.
And my final peach is, I don't know if I've ever talked about this. I have a long dead older relative, uncle, cousin, something like that, who is an artist, an early 20th century artist who did mostly paintings of like lower class Jewish life, like Lower East Side, New York kind of stuff. And forever, these paintings have been, my family had them. They were at my sister's place in Jersey, where near where we grew up, because I was terrified of shipping them. She has some, I had some, and I finally shipped them across the country out here to LA. And I was terrified. These are priceless. This guy's been dead since the 1970. Anything happened to these, I would be inconsolable. And they all got here without a scratch on them.
They all mount.
They all mount. Indeed, they mounted them. That's right on the wall. And his name is Alexander Z. Cruz, Kruse. You can look up his name. He's not super famous, but he does have stuff you can see online. And finally, I have these paintings that mean so much to me in my home, and they all got out here. And a shout out to UPS, because I asked an art friend, where should I get these packed? And she's like, just go to UPS. And they packed them and shipped them, and they all got here.
I am so excited to see these in the flesh, because you've told me about this relative for a long time, and the paintings are awesome. And I love that era of painting.
Yes.
Like, it's one of my favorite.
Same.
It's just awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats. I'm really happy they got there.
That's amazing.
Me fucking too.
I think I had the idea that they were like in the basement that flooded, and I'm glad that that is not the case.
So my sister's basement flooded a couple years ago during one of the hurricanes, and these luckily were in a different place, so we were spared.
Everyone, back up your drives. Make sure all the stuff. Just a PSA. Make sure you got all your precious stuff is all good.
Stop saving things to desktop. Yeah. Don't do that, Layton.
Tom, this was fucking awesome. Thank you for being here.
This was a blast.
So much fun to talk to you. I love your show. You guys are doing awesome stuff.
Thank you.
And it really has been just a tremendous joy to have you on.
Yeah. Thanks. It's been a blast. I also love this show dearly. It's a great balance of truly nonsense and then surprisingly deep moments occasionally. And it's been so fun to tear through the backlog lately.
Awesome.
So, thanks all for having me on. It's great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tom. You're a sweetheart, and you're eminently talented, and you have an infectious laugh. If people want to hear more of that, where can they go?
I'm Tom Lum Person everywhere on all the social medias, and you can listen to the podcast Let's Learn Everything wherever you get podcasts. You're listening to a podcast right now. It's that thing.
Yes, technically this is a podcast.
Legally, it's considered one.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Legally, it's a podcast. That should be our tagline. Legally,
Even that's
it's a podcast.
Legally a podcast.
Yeah.
All right. That's our show. I don't have a catchphrase or
Come on.
closing words.
No, come on, do it. Yes, you do.
I'm not going to say gasms. I hope you has them. That was a one-off.
There it is.
I did listen to that episode. I forgot to mention gasms more.
Oh, next time.
Sorry about that.
Next time we'll have more gasms.
Shut the fuck up.
There we go.
We did it, folks. Podcast over.
Goodbye.
Landed that. 10
That's
out
what I
of
do.
10.
Thank you.
Dismount.
Bye. Late Night is produced by Brian Wecht, Leighton Gray, and Jarek Centeno. Follow us on Twitter at Leighton Night, on Instagram at Leighton_Night, or email us at leightonnight@gmail.com.